Hello, class. We are moving on to chapter 12 in the Odyssey. Last time we read, Telemachus and Odysseus finally met. It was a great reunion, and they came up with a plan to get rid of these horrible suitors that are destroying the house. Telemachus was supposed to gather up all the swords and shields and any kind of armor and hide them. And when Odysseus had given the signal, I think that they were going to attack. So we'll find out what happens in this chapter. It's called Odysseus Shows His Strength. Odysseus was dressed as a beggar in disguise in his own house. However, in Ithaca, there was another beggar who was very well known. He begged all over the city. On this day, he happened to wander into the courtyard where the suitors were feasting. The beggar saw Odysseus and tried to chase him away. "There is only room for one beggar in this city," he cried. Of course, the suitors thought it was extremely funny. They gathered around the two beggars and yelled, "Fight! Fight!" The winner of the beggars' match would be invited to join the feast. Odysseus agreed to fight as long as Telemachus was the referee. He said this would make sure the fight was fair. Odysseus pulled off his shirt of rags to prepare for the match. Everyone was amazed and confused. His chest was strong and mighty. His shoulders and arms were muscular. He didn't look like a beggar. When the beggar saw him, he became nervous. He tried to back out of the fight. The suitors forced him back into the center of the courtyard. They chanted, "Fight! Fight!" until the two beggars began throwing punches. Odysseus easily won. To be kind, he had given the beggar only a gentle hit. Even so, the beggar was too scared to do anything but lie on the ground. The fight was soon over. Odysseus put his shirt of rags back on. The suitors congratulated him. They kept their promise. Odysseus sat down with them, and they offered him food and drink. While the men ate downstairs, Penelope was upstairs. She nervously paced back and forth. Her servants had told her about the battle of the beggars. It made her angry that this was happening in her own home. She wanted to go downstairs and take control back. She also wanted to warn Telemachus that the suitors meant to harm him. Penelope decided to go downstairs to the suitors' feast. When she entered the courtyard, all of the suitors looked up. They gasped. Athena had cast a spell to make Penelope look even more beautiful. The goddess wanted Odysseus and Telemachus to see how Penelope was prized by others. Penelope stood at the edge of the courtyard. The suitors fell even more deeply in love. They were enchanted by her. Penelope's husband and son definitely noticed their behavior. One of the suitors approached her. "Queen Penelope, if all of the men on the island can see you now, you would have even more suitors in your house. You are even lovelier than you were before." To this, Penelope replied, "Heaven robbed me of my loveliness when my husband was taken from me." The suitor shrank back a little. Athena's spell, it seemed, had also made Penelope brave. "Telemachus," she said, spotting her son, "how could you let this beggar be so poorly treated in our house?" Telemachus nodded. "You're right, mother," he said, "but I am not a little boy anymore. I am a man, and men do not behave perfectly all the time." Next, Penelope turned to the group of suitors. "And you," she said, "with all of your adoration for me, what have you ever done for me? All you ever do is take things from my home. You all should be more respectful and generous. Why haven't you brought me any gifts?" Instead of being jealous, Odysseus was actually quite proud of his wife. Good for her, she thought. Let her get back some of the value these thieves have taken from our home. One of the suitors stepped forth and said, "Queen Penelope, take as much as you please from us. We will bring you gifts today, but we will not leave here until you have married one of us. Decide who it will be." Penelope nodded, and the gifts started to come. Each suitor sent his servant to fetch something for her. Some brought her a beautiful dress, others brought her valuable gold. Soon she had a pile of pretty things in front of her. She gathered them and went back to her room. The suitors started celebrating. They sang and danced in the courtyard until the sun set. They felt encouraged by Penelope. She had taken their gifts and seemed pleased. The men lit a bonfire and sang and danced throughout the night. Odysseus joined them, trying to blend in, but Athena was watching the whole time. She was getting impatient. Athena wanted Odysseus to get his revenge on the suitors. She thought he was just wasting time. Athena even tried to stir up a fight between one of the suitors and Odysseus, but Telemachus broke up the fight, and Odysseus was resolved to wait until the right time to attack. The tired suitors eventually went to bed for the night. Revenge, it seemed, would have to wait another day. So, we had a bit of a beggar fight. Suitors were egging them on. Fight, fight. And Odysseus is kind of just trying to find his place in his own home amongst the suitors while behaving like a beggar. Telemachus has to continue to pretend like he doesn't know that's his dad. And Penelope is just trying to get through this whole thing. All right, have a great day, and I will see you for chapter 13.